Without hiccups. Apologies for that, everyone. Again, hello, welcome, hi to our second Dune Awakening live stream here out of our Oslo offices. Again, hiccups happen. I'm still here. We are still here. I hope everyone is still watching. But anyway, we have a lot to go through. I hope you are well hydrated and you're sitting comfortably. Before we go over the segment and what's coming up, some information for those of you who might have missed it. We have moved the release date for Dune Awakening from the 20th of May to the 10th of June with a head start on the 5th of June. That will give us a little bit of more time to work on some improvements, so there's no concern, there's no reason for concern. We just wanted to work on a few things a little bit longer, and hopefully it makes for a better gameplay experience for everyone as well. And more importantly, it gives us the time to do a non-NDA beta weekend on a large scale where you can be streaming, you will be able to talk about the game, you will make videos. Hopefully that is exciting to you. So that was one of the reasons as well. But what are we going to talk about today? So the segments. Combat. We will be talking about the vision of our combat for Dune Awakening. We will show you gameplay of both solo combat and group combat. We might even show some PvP, who knows? And then we will also have a segment about server structure, because we know a lot of you were kind of concerned, or some of you were concerned about Head Start and how it will be working, playing with your friends, playing with guilds and groups and such. So we go over that as well. And then towards the end, we'll also have a Q&A, of course, where we collect questions throughout the stream and then answer those with some of our guests. But before we dive into the combat section, let's watch a quick video.
Few survive this world, but those who do awaken. The desert wants you dead, off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power waiting to be harnessed. Desert power. Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for. To conquer. But there are forces beyond even your control. Master Arrakis, and it will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
Welcome back. So, combat, we have seen your comments, your feedback on combat and what we've shown so far. So obviously we want to show you more. And to talk about combat, I have two guests with me now, two very interesting guests, and they really know what they're talking about. For one, I have Viljar here, game director on Dune Awakening. Viljar, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Viljar. I've been on the project for about 5 years, game director. Other projects I've worked on, I started at Funcom 25 years ago, working on Anarchy Online. I also worked here at on Age of Conan. I did some travel in between. I worked on the Syndicate shooter. I worked on Hitman Absolution and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, to mention a few games.
So a lot of things that are very relevant as well to especially this section and combat in Dune Awakening too. And then also, last but not least, we have Alex, lead combat designer. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Alex, lead combat designer on Dune Awakening. With Funcom, I've been for like 16 years now, with the last big project being Conan Exiles. Yeah.
Has it been 16 years?
It's been 16
That's
years.
kind of
That feels
crazy.
super old. It's great. I love
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I remember doing like Conan Exiles streams with you back in the days as well. It was super fun too.
It's good times.
Yes, good times. Anyway, now we're actually talking about combat in Dune Awakening though. And to talk about combats, we also have to talk about the vision of our combat in Dune Awakening, which is we kind of want to raise the bar when it comes to combat in open world survival games specifically. But what does that actually mean, Viljad?
Yeah, so when we set out, we wanted to make the best combat experience in the survival game genre. Combat in Dune Awakening is about the interplay between ranged, melee, and abilities. It is responsive and reactive. It is about positioning and movement. Quick in, quick out. Players focused on ranged and players focused on melee should have equal opportunity to succeed, but everyone will need to use abilities. Now, playing optimally means switching playstyle depending on the situation. Use ranged weapons as someone approaches, then quickly switch to melee as they get near.
So basically combat is fast and with a lot of movement, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we are less about the perfectly timed button press, but more about the overall tactic, like reading the combat environment. So we looked more to action games than traditional survival games when it came to building our combat. So we are not going for a Souls-like approach to combat.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important to mention as well, like actiony but not Souls-like. And in that context, I think it's also very important to mention that the combat has to work both in a solo and in a group gameplay. That's a difficult thing. Group gameplay setting. There we go. Thank you, brain. There we go. Not hiccup.
Yeah. So we need to support solo and group play, as you said. So as a solo player, you really should try to separate enemies from the group. So try to approach it with a divide and conquer mentality. Abilities provide great opportunities for this approach, basically. So you can command a single NPC to come to you, or you can use a gravity grenade to keep the enemies behind them at bay, or even use a shield wall, which is normally used for cover, to actually put it in place of someone who approaches you, and then it will slow them down, giving you more react to come up with your tactics to deal with them. And sometimes it's okay to bravely run away. You can disengage with the Shigowire Claw or even a knee charge, which can be seen as combat tools, but also as good tools to get away from combat when you need to. And yes, on the co-op side, playing with friends is easier, but you still need to be careful and not pull everyone at the same time. Like the paradigm that we worked with is 1 enemy is fine, 2 will provide a challenge, and 3 should be hard. So if you go beyond that, you kind of brought it on yourself.
Good point. In the end there. You mentioned abilities and tools and things. One thing that's very important in the game as a whole is basically be able to customize your kind of experience, right? Like that goes into character customization, it goes into how you want to play outside of combat too, but more importantly, it really also goes into kind of customizing your own combat and your playstyle, right?
Yes, that's correct. So one of our pillars is expression and customization, and this is something that we follow throughout everything that we do in the game. So it's not just about making your character look the way that you want, but it's also developing the combat style that you want. You can, of course, fully commit to an archetype to play out a specific Dune fantasy, but you can also pick from all the skill trees if you want to take a more of a generalist approach.
And if you talk combat, of course, we also have to talk weapons. For one, ranged weapons. We've seen quite a few ranged weapons in examples of combat videos that we've shown, but can you tell us a little bit more about ranged combat in specific?
Yeah, so we do have a lot of ranged weapons in our game, and luckily the Dune lore actually supports this. It's mentioned many times in the Dune books. However, our approach with the mechanics and everything is that they're spring-loaded and mechanical. So we use dodge instead of bullets, which give them kind of a different feel to what you use from other games. I'll mention a few examples, like we have something called the drill shot. This will fire burrow darts. It will hit a shield and burrow through. And if you don't do a dash to counter that, it will go through the shield and damage you directly. But as I mentioned, you can do a dash, assuming you have the stamina, and then they will fall to the ground. So you have to be aware of these things and use dash and stamina elegantly and with purpose. We also have ranged weapons that you might see are similar to other games. For instance, we have something called the Karpov, which is an assault rifle. So.
And then we also have a disruptor, which is kind of like an SMG, right? That's specific to the gameplay as well. That's kind of important too.
Yes, of course. So we have the disruptor, which is very effective at taking down a shield. So if you see someone coming towards you, with a shield on, quickly switch it to your disruptor, try to take down the shield and take them out before they get close to you.
Right, and when we talk about shields, of course, they are a very important part of the Dune universe. Melee combat as well, which we know that's one of the topics that a lot of people have talked about, because we haven't really shown that or explained it that much in showcases or videos specifically. So let's talk about shields and melee.
Yeah, so on the melee side, we have swords, we have rapiers, we have the kinjal, we have the crysknife. Swords deal damage in an area, but they are kind of slow. You do a swing, but it's kind of slow compared to the kinjal, which is very fast, but only focuses on one enemy at a time. So even there, you can play as you like. And of course, our shields, they work a little different from what you're used to in other games, I think. Our shields actually go down when you shoot, which makes you vulnerable. So you go into an encounter and start shooting, and suddenly you wonder why you take a lot of damage. Your shield went down. Now, this can be used, this also works the other way. So if you go against an enemy, if you time it right, you see them start firing, and then you dodge out of the way, and then you start damaging them. So it's about looking for windows of opportunity while dodging out of the way from damage. So you can, of course, do the melee approach, where your shield won't go down when you attack. However, you're still vulnerable to the slow blade attack. This is a special attack where if you're fighting against a shielded enemy, with a little bit of extra effort, you can actually press through their shield to deal damage through their shield. So you're never completely safe. And the last thing I'll mention on this is that you can be staggered by various attacks, in which case you should use the dash, as I mentioned already. And again, it uses stamina, so manage this carefully.
So the dash is kind of a get out of jail free card sometimes, as long as you have stamina, right?
Exactly.
And if you talk shields and weapons, we have to mention the last guns too, of course.
Right, the last guns. So the way that the last guns work in lore is that if you fire a last gun at a shield, you get an atomic explosion. And fun as that may seem in the short term, we deemed it impractical. So
I like that it's like, we deemed it impractical. So it's like have nuclear explosions all over the map
we
constantly.
had it working, but we figured it out that it's probably not for the best, for the greater good of the game.
Probably not, yeah. It would be hilarious maybe for a day or so, but then I think
it was funny.
players would get kind of tired of it.
Yeah, exactly. So the way we did it is that the Emperor decreed that any last gun produced or crafted on Arrakis will have a safety. So basically, if you try to fire a last gun at someone who's shielded, the last gun just will refuse to fire.
Right.
So that's how we dealt with that.
As a kind of a elegant solution to the whole problem. Also, if we talk Holtzman tech, which the shield is of course a Holtzman tech, we have more Holtzman tech in the game, of course.
Yeah, so you have the Hulsman, the suspensor belts, and these are really good for both traversal and combat. So you can use them during combat to get out of trouble, or you can use it to descend upon your enemy. It's not an ability per se, but it's one aspect of the game which supports other abilities and how you use them.
I love them. They're really fun, and there's like different types of them too. Like hover, you can control it like more up and down and vertically, or just fall damage and things like that.
Yeah.
You briefly also mentioned the Dune fantasy earlier on, and of course, if you talk about that, we have archetype, like we call them in the game, that are very much going into this Dune fantasy of like, we have characters that people might know from the books or the movies, like Duncan Idaho, Swordmaster, for example. And for example, we also talked melee, we do actually have a Swordmaster archetype in the game, right?
Yeah, so we have the Swordmaster. They're of course melee focused. So some of the abilities that they have are deflection, where they can actually run towards an enemy who's firing darts at them and deflect those darts and don't take damage. They have the knee charge, which is very practical when you want to knee kick someone. But again, you can also use it for traversal to get away or get into the action if you want. And then they also have something called the Eye of the Storm, which is a whirlwind that will attack everything that they hit. It will damage everything they hit around them. And I want to mention this specifically for the beta players, because we've actually reworked how this whirlwind attack works. So the next version that you'll play will be much cooler.
There we go. A little bit of a nugget for the beta players. Thank you for all your feedback, by the way. It's very valuable and very much appreciated. Also, I am very much a Swordmaster at heart. I also like Retaliate, for example, which is a super cool skill, but we don't go into detail about that. You can try that out soon, hopefully yourself. But if we talk about archetype, some of you might have started watching the show or watching the show, the Bene Gesserit TV show that's now available. I think it's on HBO. If I remember, don't copy it. Maybe I think I'm right. But we also have a Bene Gesserit archetype tree as well, right?
Yes, we do have the Bene Gesserit, and they're all about voice powers and supreme muscle control. So they have abilities like the Bindu Sprint, where they can run at incredible speed, run into combat or run away from combat. They have the Compel, which is where they can command someone to get to them and incapacitate them for a bit until and actually give you time to damage them before they regain control over their limbs. And they also have the Weeding Step, which is a very cool ability where they can move superhumanly fast behind someone and then attack from the back.
So these are, of course, only two of the archetype trees that we mentioned, but it's kind of surprising as well because, or not surprising, because those are my favorite ones. I go with them a lot, and I love combining the Swordmaster and the Bene Gesserit trees because they just work so well together, especially also if you like melee. But we'll see more on that a little later in the combat segment. If we talk about the Dune universe, of course, we need to talk about spice. Spice is important in the game for pretty much everything. It influences politics, it influences economics, it influences your character in all different kind of interesting and special ways, and it also influences combat.
Yeah, so that's true. So we have this special ability called prescience. This is where you gain special powers through spice consumption or even inhaling spice in a spice field. If you're not wearing a spice mask for protection. So in the game, you start with two abilities, and then when you play the story, you will unlock a third ability at the same time as you unlock the spice prescience feature. So this is a very cool, very powerful mode to be in, where you will reduce the cooldowns on all of your abilities by quite a lot. You'll deal a lot more damage from your abilities, from range, from melee. You'll even become immune to poison. And additionally, it will actually trigger what we call capstone skills. So these are special passive skills that you invested in the various skill trees that we have. And they will only be active when you're in this special mode. So a few examples there are the shield overcharge, where you can actually see vulnerabilities in others' shield, and you can focus on those vulnerabilities and take down their shields faster. We have the Bindu dodge, where it appears as if dodge and blade attacks pass through you. Your health will regenerate at an accelerated pace as well. But what's really helpful to get an eye to understand the battlefield is it will highlight enemies. You will see their health, their weapons, their ammunition, and also the type of NPC that you will be dealing with. And it lasts for quite some time as well. It's a very powerful mode to be in, and it looks pretty cool as well.
Especially with ammunition, even though it's just like, oh, it shows ammunition, that's not that important. But it actually shows you when you have an opportunity or window to actually attack. Because yes, exactly, because NPCs have to reload as well. They kind of react very much like players have to as well.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of information. A lot of talk, and we're actually now going to show you how that actually looks in gameplay. We'll have Alex here.
Hopefully.
Play like a pro, like the pro he is, because he really knows what he's doing. No pressure, no pressure, Alex. Yes.
So let's see where we go to. We have had this character set up in a location of our choosing to showcase the combinations of experiences that our players will be able to have. Combat is a dance of multiple things, and we have a wide selection of very interesting toys that we'll demo here so that our viewers can see and experience.
So this will be solo combat first, right? Just to make that clear.
Ooh, we're actually low on water. I forgot to solve that problem beforehand. And we're standing in the sunlight.
See, that's why you should always be prepared if you go out.
Absolutely.
Make sure you have enough water.
We will
make
not
sure
cheat to fix this problem. We will suffer the consequences
because we can cheat.
We will find water in the location that we go to. As you see here, we've begun to be dehydrated. But
it's very much worth mentioning that you'll be having fewer dashes because you're low on hydration.
Your stamina actually gets limited.
Yeah.
If you can see where the pips are on the bottom left of the screen above the hydration icon, every time you cross that threshold, you're given a bonus to your stamina. Right now, because we're below both of the thresholds, we do not have that bonus. It's a missed statistical opportunity.
And your health goes down as well.
And the health is going to be ticking down. We have a challenge. We'll overcome the challenge. I promise.
And on the same time, you're also sunstroke.
I'm also sunstroke, yes. Yeah.
So
that's going
if it rains, it pours, right?
Absolutely.
Even it's a Rockies, but it still rains, it pours.
It's pouring sunlight.
Go for it.
So, first, I'm going to talk about the tools that we're bringing, and then we're going to touch on the skills that we have equipped for this character. This character specifically going to be for my playstyle. Let's talk about first the equipment. We have a selection of items: healing, melee, disruptor, rifle, scattergun. These all have their uses. I will use them interchangeably in combat. We have a armor kit. This is light armor. This is more focused around dashing and dodging and being more protective against melee attacks. We have our battery pack that fuels two of our primary resources, which is technically they're both pulled from the same pool, the energy pool, which Holtzman shields use, and this is the Holtzman shield, and Holtzman suspensor use also. Now we'll quickly show this before we go any further. So I will first activate my shield, boop boop, fantastic.
Nice.
And then as Vilja said, the unique narrative of Dune forces projectiles to have to put down a shield for them to leave it. We must time our gameplay around this mechanic. Then, suspensors. The one I chose is the one I personally prefer the most. It is energy efficient, it doesn't give me vertical velocity, but it allows me to float. Maybe I will have to cheat to solve this water problem. This is becoming poignant.
And you saw that his shield started blinking there. That's because he was low on energy while he was suspended.
I'm gonna gas out and pop the bubble. Boom. There we go. Right. So here we have lost our shield. We have lost the perfect barrier because it is tied to the resource pool. Because we're floating, it will regenerate, and it will re-engage. There we go. Now, in terms of skills, let's have a quick look. The camera overlay is hiding a couple of buttons, but I'll pretend I know where they are and click through them. So here we see our 5 archetypes, and my choice of skills, for me personally, and because of the setup that we're playing, which is away from the TV a little bit, on remote hardware, So if I miss, it's not my fault, it's the hardware's fault. I'm getting that out of the way now.
No gaming chair either.
No,
so
no,
it's
no,
like-
no, 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 no. Knee charge, compel, and assault seeker. In terms of my techniques, which are actions that function passively, I can't read them without glasses, oh my goodness. Right, that believe it says center of mass. We have energy conservation to give me more juice so that I can fight for longer, float for longer, shield for longer, and death from above to give me benefits to my damage output while I'm floating. With that said, let's do this actually. Let's do a little bit cheating so that people don't see the magic hands while we're fixing the character.
The water consumption.
The water consumption. The thing that our support crew don't
I'm gonna
realize
do
is that
some-
I need
I'm
to see
gonna
the
do
other
some
monitor
water
so that I can
consumption
fix it
as
as
well,
well.
actually, just
Fantastic.
to-
I'm gonna look this way to fix it. Magic button there.
Just so we are like aligned with
It's just
our character
completely
too.
fair. There's no problems at all. This is just magic that happens.
Do you need
People
some water as
Buffy-
well? Are you
No, I'm
okay?
good. It's
Okay.
fine. So the character's fixed,
Nice.
hydrated, cheating
Perfect.
concluded. See, we have a blue bar. It's magic. Perfectly planned, perfectly prepared. Nothing happened.
It was all planned
was
anyway
all
from
planned.
the get-go, so we
And you can
just...
see that even though we're cheating, the health doesn't go
Exactly.
up immediately. You will have
Because-
to regenerate health.
Because we are hydrated, we are regaining our maximum lost life.
Exactly.
Right. So what we're gonna give it a second, so that we don't completely get destroyed, even though we're shielded as we progress forward.
We can also talk about the fact that you're actually wearing a helmet, but you can actually hide the helmet.
Should I show that?
You can. I mean, it's not combat related, but I think a lot of
Where is
people
that
are
button, if you
actually
guys remember?
press D. You can press D,
Press the D key.
and there you go. So
There
you have a
it
toggle
is.
here, so you can actually toggle your helmet on and off, and that works with
I
all
like
armor.
helmetless in this case. Much
Me
better.
too. Like a lot of players, like just have like. I don't want to
Let's get
see.
out of
I want to
this.
see the beautiful face I made during the character creation.
Okay.
Right.
I believe.
You can
Unless you
survive.
guys-
You can survive the first encounter. That's just
I hope
outside.
so. And we have DB&O mechanics that allow me to stand back up again. Let's experience.
And you're also,
Well, if not, you have
and you're
an
also being
excuse.
being dehydrated by the sun again.
Still, right. Let's get into let's get into the shadows. I will. The location we're going to is an eco lab. It's to the forward left. We're gonna rotate counterclockwise and hit the entrance. I've been in this eco lab a couple times, so I have relatively good memory of where the NPCs are. But if I make a mistake, it's not my fault. It's the hardware's fault. We shall begin.
Taking a bold approach here.
This is not. I hit every bullet. It's absolutely not me. We'll re-heal, and because we're shielded, we continue to advance. Let's get into it. Let's pressure this. Let's pick up the tempo. I'm gonna go here, rotate left, compel core. Thank you. We dispatch him easily. We're relatively safe here. This character is by himself. His mate was dispatched. We're shielded. We're in shadow, and we're inside. This is the entrance of our Ecolab location. I used compel there as one of my skills. In the very beginning of the game, we do not have access, like Vilja said, to all three skills. You must experience a certain narrative event before they come online.
Yeah.
At that
You
which point-
probably have gotten it at this point in the game
yes.
because it's like 10 hours in or something.
Do you remember which tier we're in right now?
Steel.
Steel tier?
Well, this one is steel tier, but it's placed in iron tier area.
Right, it's the challenging Ecolab.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites because it is quite long. It has very interesting disposition of rooms, and it forces you to really, really work, especially for the tier that it's in. So we're gonna make our way down the hall. Actually, no, we'll save that for later. I was thinking about activating the prescient state, but I think we'll save that for later. So let's see. We have two characters here. They don't know we're here. We will. No, we won't do that. We'll just open up with a scattergun. Oh no! Okay, that was my mistake.
You
Shield
could
back
though,
on.
like if you crouch, you're actually making less noise.
This is one of the things that is not often evident because if you crouch your character, you do not generate audio movement events. What that means is that if you can predict which way NPCs will move, you can get much closer to them to do what I essentially did here, which is get the scattergun in a much, much closer position.
Yeah, and the scattergun obviously is better at close range because it scatters a lot of pellets, a lot of darts.
We will push through. Let's have a look.
Yeah, because the scattergun is basically like your shotgun approach in other
Yeah.
games.
The other interesting element here is that, as Vilja said prior, we don't only. Oh, I missed.
Oh, that was a
that's
nice
interesting.
dodge
Let's
from
not.
NPC.
Let's not. Oh, I'm shielded. He's not going to do anything. It's okay. We'll find him. Overpowered. One of the things that Vilja mentioned before is that because of the setting, because of the Holdsman technology, and because of how we need to value, there has to be value to attacking something, but not really taking its hit points away, which is where staggers and the stagger mechanics really come in. For example, with a scattergun is one of the best tools you have to force a stagger at short range, not melee range, but at short range, to a target that you manage to land all of your darts on. So we're going to continue advancing, explore this space. Shall we activate the special?
Just wait till you get
energy?
in a little bit of trouble.
Let's get a bit of trouble. So, kind of along the corridor, I will zoom in with my magical Mark 1 eyeball to try to spot the baddies as we advance ever so slowly. No. There we go. Right, let's pull back.
Yes,
Knee
me in
charge,
there.
we proceed to compel, tactically withdraw.
He didn't.
Heroically running away.
Oof. Okay, I need to. This is the other element. We need to disposition them.
Oh,
Oh, he didn't get through. Oh, just dodging. Please push through. Nice. I need to.
Oh.
I have my abilities.
So we see it's very much about positioning and tactical
One,
combat.
2,
Yeah.
3. He staggered. Push through. Push through. Push through. Nice.
and as you saw, the NPC was actually doing a knee charge against you because they have the same abilities as we do.
And he's on reload, and I follow through.
He was just
Successfully.
reloading. Yes, nice.
Successfully. We might actually get NPCs to maybe be a little bit more clever with when they reload versus shielded characters. That's a future team conversation. Let's handle
Maybe you
that.
can at least imbibe some spice beer so you're ready for it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's take before we go any further. Let's one. Now push our bar upwards, and we have to wait a few ticks for it to get ready. We're not going to trigger it yet. We're going to wait for the go signal before we get spicy.
Also, you can do that via food or drinks, but also sometimes it kind of goes up organically.
I mean, if you go to a spice field, you will inhale spice
Yes.
directly.
And you can also see the particles in the air. You actually see it. That's very interesting. Super.
Inhale. And then we follow through, and we keep eyes out for the other characters here.
Oh, finish him.
Oh, no!
Oh, he's gonna come.
Oh, I didn't press keyboard fault, not my fault. I actually tried to dodge, or technically dash. Push through the shield. Nice.
So you saw the shotgun there staggering the enemy and then following through with a blade.
My objective there was to read the telegraph on the knee charge and move tactically to the side. I had failed. I pressed the wrong button, but it's okay. Success was still had. Right, and here, because we're in an eco lab, it is actually not the easiest place. Should we activate our power here?
Sure.
Let's
Go
do
for
it. So, we're entering the prescient state. As Vilja said prior, we have increased output of damage, we have reduced cooldowns on our abilities, and more importantly, we have information. And information is ammunition that we can use to succeed.
Yeah, you have to actually see the enemies first, but once you do, you are conscious of where they are.
So, I will actually try to utilize the playstyle of this character build to its optimum. I will float and fight. And if I could please hit. Please hit. No, okay. No, like, not that way.
You did see the buff activate
Yeah,
though
yeah.
on the right side from
You
your
went to heal,
passives
I need to engage
while
this
you were
frame.
floating.
Dash sideways. 1, 2, 3, dash away. Fence. Parry. Follow through. Success.
And since you're spec'd, you're on the same tier as them basically, it's just one slow blade. If you go against higher tiered enemies, you will have to use more of those, so that's obviously more challenging.
Normally, the first time players experience a location that they're under-geared for, they need to be okay, let's proceed to melee. Yeah, and you shall. Okay.
And what we saw there was that you were blocking, you weren't parrying, you were
Yeah.
holding block actually.
I didn't feel comfortable in the situation to try to risk it. How did he die? I guess he exploded. That's interesting. Let's
Well,
push
we don't
forward. Let's see what we encounter. Let's actually reload our equipment. Reload. There we go. this next button. No, that's the same button. Reload this button. There we go. And this last one is already ready to go.
You also see now, of course, that the spy's prescient bar goes
It's
slowly
going down. Yeah, yeah.
And as you saw there, Alex was preparing before the next encounter. You really should prepare before you go into every encounter.
Especially if you play solo, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
be way more careful right now if you play
It's,
solo like this.
usually it's okay. It's just a question of how many resources players are willing to sacrifice for their speed and or efficiency. Let's actually throw a Seeker. Bang.
But we also see here what you mentioned earlier when we talked about solo and group play, like Alex is really trying to be able to pick his fights, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to separate enemies, trying to go for cover,
This is a heavy
use his ability
Yeah.
to not have to fight everyone
Yeah.
at the
I
same
compelled
time.
the heavy there to force them into a long CC effect while dispatching his friend. I'm going to come back now and solve the problem. Okay? Oh no.
And this is the first time we see a heavy in this.
Let's see,
this
let's
sequel.
switch the disruptor and we need to use our explosive damage to get a little bit of chip on him. Not that much chip, but let's see what happens. We're going to go in. 1, 2, 3. Push through. Disengage, see if he decides to bubble. No. Another hit. Okay. No. And then
Because-
And yeah, this guy has a minigun, and they are very good at taking down your shield as well.
One of the
Oh,
Nice.
that was very close.
he was
Okay.
just about to do a suspensor blast, which would incapacitate Alex.
One of the big things that players will experience is that even though, as we listed prior, even though an individual character is quite easy to handle, the second you mismanage space or mismanage resources, it becomes very, very tricky. I need to stop speaking and focus. It becomes very, very tricky to handle the output that everything is from, which is why I need to try to focus these guys down quickly. CC him, disengage, reposition.
I jokingly say
Focus
running away bravely, but like it's really a tactic.
It's a smart tactic
You
sometimes. yeah.
should try to get away from it, regroup, and then go back in with a plan. Because going up against a lot of enemies solo is tricky.
Right, let's progress. Okay, this way. It looks interesting. Let's have a look. Right, that appears to be a rain. Ooh, okay, let's check this way. Rotating.
heavy.
Right. So again, we'll compel him away from this problem, and then we'll press the opposite direction. And we'll try to dispatch his friends quickly. And it's not me, it's the hardware. Into melee, blocking.
Oh.
No, I failed. Okay, knee charge. Knee charge successful, push through.
Boom.
Abilities allow you to bypass. Can I? Yes, I can. No, okay. Pull away. The reason I pulled away is because I noticed my stamina, which is why my abilities were not usable. I pulled away to regenerate my stamina, re-heal to be safe. I could probably have succeeded the fight. I just didn't want to choose to risk my resources because everything in Dune costs time, costs investment. Why risk when you can make things a little bit more successful?
Right, and you might even have lost your shield because
Absolutely.
of the minigun. that you used.
Push through.
And I'll mention for the beta players that we're doing a big rework or iteration on stamina. So a lot more things will cost stamina. Stamina won't always regenerate depending on actions that you do. You won't regenerate stamina as you sprint, for instance. We have a few more fixes coming in for this as well, but it will be a much more valuable and an important aspect of combat.
This version is not on the beta, right?
No, this is
No,
not on the
this
beta.
one
Right,
is
so
not
this
on
is
the
the
beta.
first time beta players could be potentially seeing the changes that are upcoming.
Yeah.
Interesting. Lovely lore tidbit. Let's press the button. People can enjoy the text on screen while we proceed to succeed.
That's actually the boss that is talking.
It's the leader of this this area, Inhaler.
I don't see any contacts. We'll push forward and further and okay. This looks like a space or something. Here we go. Right. So my prescient state has depleted,
Oh yeah.
which is why I don't see the character's lovely highlights to tell me what they're about to do. So I need to choose when to go in with much less information.
And we can see here what's happening now is that he's in withdrawal, so he can't actually consume spice. He needs to wait for that bar to go down, then he can consume spice. However, he will have to consume more spice now than he did in the first round because his tolerance is growing. And this can go up to quite a high level where you'll have to consume a lot of spice in order to go pressure.
Shall we consume spice? Let's see. Oh wait, no. I will know. I will focus on the gameplay. Right, dispatched. Okay, let's see what this character is doing. Okay, he thinks I'm there. Let's compel. One. Break away. Scattergun. See what he does. Aha, I'm not there anymore. And I can't hit him. Great. Wait, again.
Is this the server acting up?
Let's see what happens. We're gonna finish and get our success opportunity. Oh, no.
Back.
Leaving. Nice. And let us rearm and re-equip. We'll press this button to rearm this gun. We'll press this button that's already reloaded. Scattergun is reloaded. Disruptor ready. Let's rock and roll. Right, I kind of know this layout. We're gonna go down the stairs. And further and further. Let's see again. Shall we? Let's use that and use more. And spice is the fuel of the Empire. It is a lovely resource, it is expensive, but we are on Arrakis, therefore, unlike most characters in the universe, we have easy access to it.
And to be fair, we're cheating right now a little bit when it comes to spawning items, spawning the beer.
It's fine. Mostly. Let's observe.
No, but you will be able to craft spice beer, spice coffee yourself, and you'll also sometimes find it in loot.
Okay, that's a
And
good
again,
aid this
if you
way.
like getting close to spice field, it would also.
Happens if I don't dispatch them quickly. See, I can shoot. I can float and shoot as well. No, I have to reload. That's a mistake, Alex. There we go. My shield almost popped. This is from 2 attackers. Okay, less speaking, more focus. Sorry. What is he doing? He's getting compelled. He'll approach. He'll get stabbed. Nice. Disruptor, reloaded. Rifle, scattergun, reload. Hello. Pressing forward and further. Are we alone? We're alone. We continue. I believe we are 2 rooms away from our final destination. Let's see how well we overcome this. We have 1 shooter, 1 fighter, and oh, that's another one. Okay, I will try to quickly compel away. What's that problem? Focus on this problem. Explosive floating bomb. Go down. You decided to. Oh, that's a misplay. Oh, parry! I'm sorry. I will counter your parry with my knee. Successful. Oh, that's his friend. Parry.
Nice.
Counter. Rotation. Fantastic. Do I have to heal? And I just run out of stamina at the end. They're very much pushing me. This character is actually also, like Vilja was saying beforehand, a little bit pushed to the further end of progression. So I have some things that are helping me. I'm unhydrated. Where's there a water location?
Exactly.
Can I find some water here?
To the right there.
There's-
I thought it was.
Let me do a quick rotation around this room to see if there's a water container somewhere in here that I can exploit. Else, I'll have to go another way. Well, we won't have to. We'll just. Yeah, let's. No, sorry. One more. Let's just check this room here up ahead. Maybe. Oof. There we go. We shall drink.
Nice.
Get more stamina. Is there a second?
No.
No? No? Okay, 1 is enough. Even without the bonus, it's good not to go too far close to the red. All right, let's continue our experience.
This gives me anxiety to just walk past loot boxes. That is like so.
Sorry,
Gotta
developers.
open all the boxes.
Developers. Yeah. Let's continue through. Okay, let's check this corridor. Nice. Okay. Right, and I believe we ought to be somewhere near one of the primary events.
So this is where we come to the blood door. You can pass through, but you cannot exit until you've taken care of all the enemies inside.
The terminology of a blood door is started off as an internal keyword for us. These are technically Holtzman shields that have been specifically configured for very, very specific purposes to make a gameplay experience better for the player. We shall proceed through. Now,
And if you look back at the door, you can see that you can't actually exit now.
However, your friends can follow through.
Yeah.
And sometimes not friends also follow.
This is true.
And this is where some of the deep desert ecology become very, very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so in this location we have a big gameplay space, 3 paths, left, middle, and right, and there is also an underside. I happen to know this because I've reviewed this Ecolab a couple of times, and I will pretend like I don't, but I do. We will engage with this piece of content doing a clockwise rotation, going left and around. Let's see how well we do. We will try not to aggro too much because, as we saw previously, if I make a mistake, I am punished. We will try to minimize mistakes, and again, crouching to not risk being heard until we absolutely have to. That's a heavy. This is a bad location. I should not have gone this way. I need to use this box to keep cover from the heavy. Let's see how long my shield can hold before I... Oh! Nice, okay. Please shield, shield, shield. What is he doing? Shield, shield, compel. Run through. We will not fight him because we don't have the resources to. We will engage. No, I missed. Oh, yeah. No, stop. Please stop. Okay, stab, stab, stab. Finish, crouch. Get below line of fire. That guy doesn't see us yet. Okay, we have resources. We're going to go in. This was a marksman that I happen to notice here. He's quite dangerous if he is not dispatched quickly. They proceed to stack up a lot of poison damage on our players. We will not fight the heavy because that is a dangerous proposition. Instead, continue to rotate around the location to dispatch his friend. Actually, let me see. Maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, let's do that. Let's get rid of this guy before we get into too much trouble. Compel, advance. No, Alex. Stab the body. Stab. No, get away. Recharge. No, I don't have any stamina. No.
I think second when it comes down to resource management.
I'm too eager right now.
Power
yes.
tools.
Did that push through? No, it didn't. Try again. Dash in. And yes. Great. Follow. Staggered. Push through. There we go.
Even a combat designer can play perfectly every single time. That's
It's
totally
the hardware.
fine.
Please
Yes,
don't blame me.
it's the hardware and the
okay.
game user.
I am actually disappointed that my pressing state is depleted yet again. It is not very efficient to not know how many hit points the opposition has.
Well,
however, we will make do.
Normally people won't explain so much as they have the pressure state basically because you lost quite a bit of it
Yes.
there. It does last for quite some time.
Pull back a little bit. See what happens. It's a heavy and a...
And aside from combat like this now, he's in withdrawal, and you start seeing these pink elements showing up every now and then. So after a while, you might start seeing things that aren't there if you trigger pressions too often.
Why I said spice can influence your character in all different kinds of ways.
So you almost have a shield
Almost
there.
have a shield. Come on, push through. No, not enough. Next weapon. Oh, successful. Okay, great. And then let's look around to see. Let's actually reload before we push further. Disruptor, rifle, scat gun, fantastic. Rifle equipped. Let's see what we see. I believe we have cleared the left and right, and now we need to have a look in the middle. Yep, yes we do.
Have we cleared it?
Let's have a floating detonator. 3, 2, 1, click. Some damage.
Yeah, so this assault seeker actually has double functionality where you can throw it and it will explode on contact, or you can trigger it as it moves towards the target, or past the target even.
Push through the shield. Nice. Reload equipment. Reloaded. Oh, hello. No. Wait. I'm not ready. Wait, get your turn. Floating bomb. Yeah. Oh, I missed time that. That was too far. Go and reload. Oh, push headshot. Yes, there we go. Great. Let's heal some health.
We see that the door is still locked over there, so there's enemies
There's still
left.
some enemies.
Yeah, that's the way we need to go. So we need to find the remainder of the encounters.
Yeah,
Hey, and from this vantage point,
some floating maybe.
we will absolutely succeed float.
That's where your bow comes into play.
Okay.
specifically. Oh!
No, bad. No, that's also bad. Please don't. I have to compare them. I don't have any. Oh, get away.
That's my experience with this.
Disruptor?
That's my experience with this ecolab as well. It can get out of hand really
Yeah.
quickly if you're not very careful. If you solo this
Where is
one.
it? No. Okay, heal. Where's the heavy? If he's going in the corner, I'll rotate right. 1 health pack, 2 health pack. Stay low. Stay low, stay safe. I have stamina, I have resources. Go. Okay, let's go. Daggers to hand. He was right here. There he is. Quantum bomb. Bam.
I'm just choosing to ignore you.
1.
Oh, you got
So-
Okay, knee to the face. Dagger through. And run away. Give me my cooldowns back. And stamina. Stamina's 1. Compel. Dagger. This is all about risk minimizing. I could have been much more aggressive. I could have risked my durability of my equipment. I chose not to. I believe we have mostly cleared the space. Let's have a reload and a look-see. Here we go. Right. Let's get back upstairs. To there. To there.
Yeah,
we
you
go.
see the door is green there. So we're not going to go through the next room. That's where Inna Hiller, the leader of this Ecolab or this testing station, is. We're gonna end the solo play at this point.
Yep. I love the fun.
Not
Thank you, Johnny.
not spoil the boss here.
No,
Yes.
that's
Even though we
okay.
heard her talk actually earlier, so it's like we're not gonna kill her this time around. So that gives us the opportunity to now from solo gameplay go into group gameplay. We're gonna set up some things behind the scenes. We're gonna watch a quick video first, and then we'll be right back with more gameplay for you to watch. And we are back again. As we mentioned, we're going to set up a few more things behind the scenes. The crew will tell me when we're ready to actually go. We all ready? Well, that was fast, was super efficient
super
because we were
fast.
actually, because we're going to
Huge
talk a little bit
success.
more about the differences between the Ecolab that we just went through solo and the Ecolab that we're actually going through now in group play. We can still do that, actually, we can explain that a little bit as well because the approach is going to be quite different. Plus also we see more group viability or like group gameplay, group like, what's the term I'm looking for?
Coordination,
coordination,
a little
thank
bit
you.
of planning,
Exactly.
well, a little bit more of them planning because these locations are in the deep desert. So you have
Yeah.
to have a fair bit of planning and protection because not everyone here is a friend.
Yeah, the deep desert ecolabs, they are in PvP areas, so you run the risk of PvP here, obviously.
Also, we see also the players here, they wear higher tier armor, they have better weapons, they have more abilities as well. Plus, but you're probably going to comment on that later on as well, the approach and the mechanics in this type of ecolabs is kind of different than we just saw in the solo
Yes,
gameplay.
the enemies are much more aggressive. They're much higher tiered enemies. The weaponry and the gadgets and abilities they use against you are more advanced. Also here, the blood doors have an additional function where waves will spawn. So not only do you have to clear the room once, you have to clear it. You have to clear all the waves, the waves, before you can actually continue to the loot. And loot also works a little bit differently in the deep desert compared to PvE areas. PvP loot and PvE loot works differently. So in PvE, everybody gets the loot. You can't cheat anyone because anyone going up to the loot box, exactly, they will get the loot. However, here you have to trust that the first person to get the loot actually will share it with the group, which may or may not be the case.
So better make sure you have good friends. Like let's say it that way, right? So yes.
So yeah, we just used we just cut down the door, as you saw. This is the same technology as is used to harvest rocks and materials out in the world.
The players are going to advance through the first of the blood doors, exploring the space around them. And we will experience...
I think Camille playing, so he is actually looting boxes. Thank you. Better for my anxiety.
Let's see what our players encounter. Exploring the space. I love these. These are so different just to seeing desert all of the time. It's lovely.
I do recommend having a shot caller on the team, someone who coordinates, because if everybody just do their own thing, these enemies are not only higher T, they have more health, they're much more aggressive.
Also, can we talk about friendly fire?
Absolutely.
So you won't do damage to your friends with normal darts, things like that. However, area effects, abilities, and the flamethrower will actually damage your friends. They won't take full damage, but you should be careful.
So everything that kind of does area of effect damage, right, will also kind of damage to your friends.
So things like poison, explosives, flame, when delivered in an AoE, which is also flamethrower, and in a deployable, like you showed me using the assault seeker beforehand. And CC effects like suspensor grenade or reduction grenades are also applied in full. So you really need to manage where you deploy your AoE CCs to not hamper your allies. I believe our players have just defeated one of the waves and then they're now preparing to receive the next. They will rearm and re-equip and be ready to rock and roll. And we'll do maybe some of the shot calling for them instead because they're all very, very focused on the gameplay.
They also have different builds, different abilities equipped, different weapons, which is interesting. These ones switch between those different.
I love the camera work that we're doing right here. Like we saw one player focusing an NPC and then we immediately switched to his friend to focus on the same NPC. This is exactly the kind of coordination players will need to exhibit in these locations. While it may not be obvious until you're actually playing these places, these NPCs are significantly stronger, they're faster, they are much more dangerous. However, some people might want to challenge themselves and come here by alone. Who knows? It's up to them.
Yeah.
They also retreat, they use cover, they use the same abilities that players have at their disposal as well, depending on how they'll
dash and they'll parry much more often as well. I do want to mention one thing again to the beta players, that we have listened to feedback when it comes to how friendly fire works. Friendly fire will still be valid for groups, but we are reworking how they affect guilds, basically.
Prior to this change, both guild mates and group mates were considered allies for the purposes of not taking damage.
Exactly.
This is one of my favorite. Like, I can tell that's a Swordmaster build because you saw the green effect, which is basically a passive of the Swordmaster archetype. If you kill someone, it will give you a buff for, I think the first level is 15% more damage for the next attack as well. After you kill
you see the Bene Gesserit, they stand apart because their effects are black or dark.
It's very distinct, so players can understand what's happening around them. It's good group player focus.
This is very good.
These, especially these, are very dangerous.
It's almost as if they're knowing what they're doing.
Right? It's wonderful. A bit of resource management, a bit of coordination, a little bit of healing.
What we saw there was quick looting. They looted them quickly. They didn't have to go into an inventory. You can go into an inventory and just pick the pieces you want, but that was quick looting where you just hit spacebar and you get them one by one.
I think that person's actually kind of poisoned right now. If I like that, you can see the.
So in the paradigm that we have, applying a healing kit will remove poison effects from the players. One of the nice things about poison grenades is that especially both in PvE and PvP, they have a use case. Not only will they force NPCs to move, because NPCs don't like to be in bad clouds of green stuff, it also forces players in PvP to actually make a choice between, do I want to stay here and suffer this small but eventually significant effect, or do I want to reposition and heal? There are many ways to use these, and players are, that's a very close by grenade.
That
Let's
was
see what
really
happens.
nice there, though. Like
Boom.
almost out of stamina. Like
Nice.
Did we
that was
mention-
really nicely played, though.
I don't think we mentioned, but enemies will. Oh, yeah, you saw one. And enemies will
They will
actually.
revive,
They will
yeah.
actually. Sometimes they run away, and you wonder what they're doing. They're doing the same thing the player is doing. They're actually
Yeah.
running away to heal, so
To
that
heal.
they can come back.
And they can, of course, also revive themselves. They can get out of the down but not out state
Exactly,
as well,
yeah.
like players can.
I love the floating light machine gun, the character build just now that we saw a second
Oh,
ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a throwback to the one
The
that remember
turret?
what's
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I was
see what
about
we
to
do
mention
next.
it earlier because we've seen it a few times now and we haven't actually commented on it,
Yeah.
which is...
Here we see it, the turret. Yeah.
Yes, which is a mentored ability, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's like actually one of the first mentored abilities. And now we're in prescient state again. So, see all the
That's a
information.
lot of NPCs against. Let's see how well we do. A little bit of panic, a little bit of crossfire. The question is, will our team survive and succeed and receive
Nice.
the rewards?
Depends on the hardware, from what I understand.
Nice one. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, brownie points. That was really nice.
Very good. Very good. I enjoy it.
Unscripted joke.
Oh,
Awesome. Not that we have
Pennies,
anything scripted
pallets.
here really, but that was really nice.
here we go. 1, 2. Ooh. Through the shield.
Oh,
Shield broken.
oh,
Almost
oh.
broken.
He's gonna.
He's still focusing
Nice.
on. Okay, nice.
That's a flamethrower heavy.
That's
And
it,
he's
we've
burning some
seen-
friends.
Also, we've seen a knife earlier, like, and now we actually see a sword in action.
One of the big differences that Villa mentioned before is the gameplay stylization. Swords are an area of control weapon. They're a little bit slower than daggers, but daggers allow you to quickly attack and also lunge. One of the things that we really want to focus on for our melee playstyles, which is not super evident right now, but soon TM will be, is that they are all distinct, have a gameplay role that players can choose to enjoy, and those gameplay roles will be meaningful and engaging, and they will have distinct counters and strengths and weaknesses.
I mean, I gotta say it again, I love melee. I'm like, it's my build. Like, I combine Swordmaster plus Bandit chest read skills, and I absolutely love it. Plus, I have a sniper rifle. Because I either want to be super far away and kill people really fast, or be in their face. Like, that's kind of my playstyle. I love it too. And it
There we just saw a
works.
suspensive blast from the enemy there, which staggered our friend here.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure from 2 NPCs. Oh, no. Uh-huh. So here we see some special NPCs. These NPCs are configured to be different from the normal experience, wherein the actions and abilities that they can throw out are much, much more...
Oh, they're really wailing
less
on
cool. Yeah, there we go.
Gideon right now.
That's a
Oh
friend
my
down.
god.
You guys have to work harder to survive. Let's go. No cheating.
Should have used that prescience.
Where was I? Right. Some of these NPCs are configured quite differently to the normal experience outside of the deep desert. They have abilities that players do. They are on a lower cooldown, and they are much, much more eager to use them against players.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Very-
Let's call it aggressive. Yeah, they're very aggressive.
Aggressive
Yes.
ability use. Oh, they defeated the wave.
They
That's
did
fantastic.
actually. Yeah, they did defeat
And
them.
then we are waiting. Oh, and they're prepping as well with turrets and everything. Right.
Also getting
Let's
their
see
friend.
where the next wave comes in from. Oh, bubbles. Bubbles everywhere. A bit of focus.
Be nice there. You can see all the abilities that that specific NPC has.
Access granted.
They need to defeat all of the NPCs before the next wave triggers. Oh, actually, was that the last wave?
I was just wondering that. I was just about to ask.
I
like,
believe our friends
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
successfully succeeded.
because it's actually because the door is green there. too
Yeah.
now, so just an awesome.
Good job.
Good job, team. It was wonderful.
And we can see here on the left, in the
Yeah.
lower left corner, that they're all grouped up. You see the names of them and everything. So
Right, yes.
Good going group. Good going team.
Absolutely. One of
Someone
the-
took one for the team, which is totally okay. Someone you have to have a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And now, that awkward moment where trust is tested in terms of who chooses who gets the loot.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Well, you have
Exactly.
a leader. You have a leader who hopefully like distributes loot fairly. But yeah, you nicely see there the group set. Actually, the group setup just changed.
Okay.
Oh, it's oof.
Who? the group setup is changing there behind the scenes. Okay, yeah, nice.
It's one of those moments when friends decide not to be nice to each other.
Never
Where
say it
friends
again.
won't be
Make sure
friends.
you know your friends. You have close friends. Was it like keep your friends close? No, keep your enemy close. No, keep your friends close, your enemy closer. Keep your friends close, your enemy closer.
Oh, from the second perspective. Oof.
It's just, this is a single.
So, a 2-on-2 fight, a 2-on-2 player fight in a confined space is going to get messy. There's going to be colors on the screen. There's going to be effects going off. We will see if we can comment as best as we can to what's happening.
See,
feel like
there's
esports
someone
commentator,
dead there already.
like-
Oh, they took somebody down. That was very fast.
Is it 2
No.
versus 1
Oh,
now?
stamina
Or
list.
is it? Yeah, 2 versus 1. Yeah. Oh, nice.
This is very nice.
Oh, someone went prescient.
Managed to catch him.
Cheating! They're cheating.
No, I mean,
I would call it cheating. If someone goes present and I can't, it's obviously cheating. Someone
I
has like.
believe somebody got betrayed.
looks like it.
And there's another. Oh, there's a second
Ooh,
betrayal.
That was a Bennett Jesuit skill on a friend. That's like the ultimate betrayal. If you use a Bennett Jesuit skill on your friend,
Yeah.
that is just the ultimate betrayal.
The question is, who is the better player?
This is an interesting fight.
This is very close.
Yeah.
It's very close.
Oh, it's
Someone
getting
ran out of
staggered.
stamina.
No, yeah. It's 1v1.
Oh.
Oh,
And then we saw the new whirlwind.
Yeah.
So, tremendous though.
Sword is there. Oh, I believe. Oh, the count is back. Needs to be a little bit more ability use and a little bit better stamina management. Bank your stamina and deploy it in one big burst.
Actually, you don't see the stamina on the other player, even if you're prescient, which
No.
is actually really. I think that's. Oh,
Oh, boom.
that's close! It almost got one of the players is sitting
Some
right
ten- some
here,
tension in the
and he
room
just
here.
went like throw his head back, and his headphone just went flying. It's just like, well done, though, team. Well done.
That can only be one.
There can only be one. Yeah, exactly. There can only be one. But yeah,
That's a complete
make sure
mistake.
you have close friends before if you go into these type of
It's
collabs.
like these kind of situations is actually
situations.
one of the paradigms that we've designed the game around, which is making friends and enemies. We don't really care which is which, but if you're making friends, if you're making enemies, the game will sustain itself, I
Remember
think.
to belong the way.
Exactly.
I would care who are my friends. I was like, you don't care who is which, but yeah. But also, I like to backstab people, so there you go. Like in terms of friends and enemies and
That was
frenemies.
great.
And, yeah, so.
I very much enjoyed that. I didn't expect the double backstab at all.
The double backstab.
Well,
Okay,
plans
no
within
pun
plans within
intended.
plans. You know, that's how it goes.
No pun intended. Who was the instigator? I blame Camille, by the way, behind the scenes there.
I think I
So-
saw him play some mine or something.
He's
talk about that.
denying it. I don't believe him. I'm 100% sure. I know it wasn't anyone else. My mind was Camille. Anyway, that was the combat section. Thank you so much, Viljar and Alex, for being here chatting and showing off some of the gameplay. We have, of course, as we mentioned earlier today, beta weekend coming up that a lot of players will be able to enjoy and test the combat in Dune Awakening themselves. You will be able to stream, you will be able to show videos and things from that beta weekend. Sometime next month, more concrete information regarding that will, of course, come soon from our side. But before we dive into the next segment, we are just gonna have a little bit of a break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Arrakis, the most dangerous planet in the universe. Dune Awakening is a multiplayer survival game on a massive scale, where the open, ever-changing world ensures exploration remains a vital activity. Join us as we traverse the breathtaking landscapes and uncover what the sands have hidden. Follow in the footsteps of the native Fremen and learn to overcome the deadly environment. Collect materials to craft a shelter, still suit, and your first vehicle, then venture into the desert. With a scanning module installed, you can scan for resources in smaller areas. Or climb the highest peaks to launch a survey probe, revealing large swaths of terrain and important locations like shipwrecks or abandoned Imperial testing stations. Traverse difficult terrain with tools like the Shigawire Claw and Suspensor Belt, and claim powerful tech and gear. Expand your fleet of vehicles and upgrade them with new modules to suit your playstyle. From the cockpit of the iconic Ornithopter, even the most remote expanses of Arrakis are within your reach. In the deep desert, massive Coriolis storms regularly sweep across the land with monstrous power, changing the entire map every week. As new resources and secrets are revealed, the race to survey the vast new landscape begins anew. Be the first to mark the location of precious resources, and give the map to your allies, or sell it to other players on the exchange. Here, there are no paths to tread, only power to claim. This is infinite exploration. This is Arrakis.
All right, and we are back. We know that, of course, we're following comments and things that we see on the internet, on our social channels, and we know that some of you have been concerned regarding Head Start and how our servers actually work. What the hell was that? Stop it. This guy. It's the worst. No, anyway. So we, of course, have heard your concerns. Thank you. So we know which troublemaker is actually sitting on the side here. I'll introduce him soon enough, don't worry. But anyway, we're going to talk about server structure and also social play, like, because some of you were concerned if someone starts Head Start and you start later, can you still play with your friends? How is that going to work for groups and guilds and all those things? And we're actually going to talk about this. And here to talk about that is this troublemaker, Joel.
My name is Chris. No.
Oh my God. Save me, please. No. The game director, you know him, you love him, maybe you hate him, I don't know. No, we'll love him.
I'm sure it'll be both.
Despite everything.
Equal elements of both, like yin and yang.
But you want to introduce yourself quickly anyway, just to chat.
Sure, my name is Chris Knife. I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening. And I'm joined here by luscious Leo.
Yeah.
And Leo, you are?
I'm Leo. I'm
Laid back
game
Leo.
designer on Dune Awakening. And yeah, as that, I manage the design team here in Oslo, and I also work with building systems and the social systems.
Indeed.
Right.
And this is going to be one of those sections you all love where we talk and we don't show gameplay for a few seconds.
That's true. We have assets though. We have videos and little
there's
cool videos
there's
and visual
a
assets.
very cool infographic that someone made.
Which we're having on the screen any second now, because we talk about server structure.
That was the wrong one.
That is not the one. That is the right
that's
one.
the right
Perfect.
one. Well
there we
done.
go. Again,
Champion.
it's a live stream. Well, with a live stream, without some hiccups.
All right.
Anyway, please, Joel, talk to us about server structure, servers, worlds, all the good stuff.
All right, cool. I will talk to you about this, Natasha. So Dune Awakening has a very unique, somewhat different server structure to the type of games you'd expect. If you're a survival player, you're probably used to one map, one server. But Dune Awakening has kind of a larger server structure on the back end. So we have what we call worlds. Worlds are made up of multiple servers, which we call internally sietches. So often when you join a sietch, you'll see here in this infographic that Hager Basin has this big stack of sietches. So when you sign up, you'll choose your world and then you'll join a sietch within that world. Each of those Hager Basin sietches contains maximum 40 players per map, but all of those maps add up to create the entire world. The deep desert, the social hubs like Harko Village and Arakeen, they are actually shared social spaces in the world. The deep desert being the big PvP area in the world. And of course, so we're talking about, we have this 5-day head start. I know people are concerned. The thing is, you'll be able to join worlds that we open during that head start. We will also open more worlds when the game launches. But you can also join a sietch in a world that isn't necessarily the same sietch as your friend, but you'll be able to go and visit your friend. You'll be able to do a lot of stuff with your friends. So it's kind of, you're not going to be locked out for the most part of any content when you join after the head start. Also, I would say get better friends and let them buy you the head start. That's another thing I think is a really good option.
That's the way to go.
No, you also said 40 players per max per server or siege. What happens if someone joins anyway? If there's like
If
40 players.
more than 40 people try to join at one time, so it's concurrent users, so CCU, and that means that like then they'll be put into a queue to wait to join. So we can have more characters on a server than 40. We can have, several hundred. But that means people play at different times of day when people join, so there will be a queuing system in place to allow people to wait in line to get into the servers, of course.
Right. And you briefly just mentioned it, visiting. So you don't actually have to be on the same, or you don't have to start necessarily in the same server. There are some caveats to it, but let's talk a little bit more about that. How does visiting a friend on another server work?
Well, the first and most important step is to get a friend. This is often achieved by going to a cafe or a movie theater and just striking up a conversation with a random stranger. Then once you have a friend and they are also into Dune Awakening, which is also a big moment. Oh, my mic. Sorry. I have tech support here because my mic sucks. Was I talking too loudly?
And also, it'd be good to have the visiting friends. We actually have a little video or an asset that shows that too, how you can actually visit a friend. Or
we were talking about how to make friends first.
Sorry, well, we can talk about make friends. How do you make friends?
He's enabled sexy mode now. So now I first of all, how I make friends is I talk to them in a voice like this.
Now we have it there.
Okay, so once you've made friends, and you can see friends automatically because they're added from your Steam list as well. So if you have them as a friend on Steam, they will show up in your friends list in the game automatically. Then you go to the friends page. You'd simply click them and say, I want to visit this friend. It will teleport you to the nearest trade post to that friend because obviously teleporting directly to them would be exploitable in infinite amounts of ways. Once you're there, you can join up with your friend, do everything on that siege with them, except for one specific thing, and that is build. You can't claim land. You can build on their base. You can be given ownership of their base and be able to build all the parts of their base, but you don't own the specific land claim. And that's just for database reasons. We need to make sure that we control how many people build in different locations. And then, of course, when you want to go home, you just push escape and choose return to home dimension, and it will take you back.
Right, and you can also do contracts and journey steps, like with your friends that way as well, that will kind of carry over when you go back to your home world.
Yeah,
as well.
all of the
Or home
content in the
server,
game
sorry.
is accessible with this visiting feature, so you can basically do everything. Everything that you could do in a group, you can do, on someone else's world. You can do it in your own world. So there is this cross-play feature for everyone. You'll be able to, work together. So I think people are concerned about like, oh, I won't be able to meet my friends who started, but this shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to play with people, even if you're not in the same exact siege when you start playing.
Right. So we have talked about playing with your friends. Obviously, you can play solo, but then there's the usual things that you have in games, groups, guilds. Maybe Leo can talk a little bit about what kind of options are there to play with your friends besides visiting like their server.
Yeah, so let's start with groups. So we saw that a bit earlier in the previous segments, right, with group combat. So groups are temporary social structures of up to 4 people. And they come with some benefits like seeing your group member status on the HUD. You see them as markers on the map.
Groups with benefits, huh?
Yeah.
Groups.
Exactly.
Love those. Love those.
The best
Convenient, right? So, and then you have standard features like chat connected to that as well. And yeah, makes it more convenient to game with your friends.
Wow, Leo, could you go deeper into chat?
Deeper into chat, yes. So this is a groundbreaking feature that we've developed, right? Never seen before in online games.
I think more importantly, a more important question, but thank you, Joel.
Sorry.
Like how many people can be in a group?
Oh, 4.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So the party
Including
leader
the
plus
leader.
3 additional ones, right?
Yeah,
yes. Compared to guilds.
So guilds are more of long-term social structures, right? So you can be up to 32 players in a guild, and they're structured with hierarchies where you have one leader, any number of officers to help manage the guild, and then a roster of members as well. And guilds, they of course also have this groundbreaking chat feature like that we have.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And and both parties or groups and the guilds, they are across the world, right? So if you meet some people in the deep desert and you want to game together, you can do that. It doesn't matter if you're on different servers, still works fine. And yeah, something else you can also do with the guilds is that once you progress through individual faction alignment far enough, you can actually align your character to a specific faction, and as a continuation of that, you can pledge the allegiance of your guild to one of the major houses. So either
Now, Leo,
Yeah.
you like to be an Atreides, but I like to be a Harkonnen. And
For sure.
if we're in a guild together, and you pledge allegiance to the Atreides Lord, what's going to happen to me?
you're going to get booted right out of it.
You can make a guild with me. I'm Harkonnen too, so that's fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hardcore
Let's just
Harkonnen. We have to shave our
go
heads, but we're
Harkonnen.
good.
Yeah,
We're good.
Yeah.
Totally
Don't
fine.
allow mixed guilds.
totally okay. No mixed skills.
No house mixing in this game.
Yeah.
We talked about chat. When you talk about chat, you mean actually text chat. However, we do actually have proximity chat as
We
well.
do have
Like,
proximity voice chat as
proximity
well.
voice chat. Yes,
Common
I think.
feature of survival games.
Off by default, so that you don't have to be annoyed by that person running past swearing.
But what is it? Anyway,
You
I
can
think
turn
it's
it on.
fun. I think yeah.
Yeah,
I think
voice proximity is
chat
fun. You just,
It's
you know,
super fun.
we gotta protect the people's ears.
I know. No, I mean it's good that you can choose. Some
Yeah,
people don't
you can
like
choose.
it. Some people enjoy it. So you can choose. But what we also see there is edit permission. So when we talk about guilds, we do actually have a whole permission system in the game for a whole lot of things, right? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
Leo.
so survival games commonly have this type of bases, right, that you can build in the world, and we have that as well. And we have a longer term persistence than most survival games. So we needed some robust way of sharing access to certain type of assets in the game, right, like bases, but also vehicles. So here we also have this hierarchical type of system similar to what we have in guilds. So here you can see on screen now for vehicles, for example, where you can add your friends to a list, which gives them some type of access depending on what you want to promote them to. So they can be associates or they can be co-owners. It's the same system for bases and vehicles. And the way each rank works is that it comes with a certain specific rights. So, for example, for removing the subfief console here that you see, you require owner level permission. So only the owner of the subfief can do that.
So make sure you
You
give.
don't want anyone else doing that.
No, you make sure you give the right permissions to
Yeah.
again the friends that you can actually trust.
Yeah, you want to be careful. And then we also have this additional level that you can control the specific access level required for each object in your base. So take a door, for example. If you want to set that to only be accessible by you as an owner, you can do that. If you want to set it to be accessible by co-owners or associates, you can do that. But then we also have 2 additional levels. So you can set a door or machine or anything like that to be accessible by any guild member or also by the public. If you want to be nice to the travelers or that are coming by, give them some shelter.
We actually have seen that in the beta. We
Yeah.
have like several beta players who just build bases and then open it up to everyone, especially like at the beginning to new players. So they can come in, they can get some water, they can get some basic resources and just you can do that. You can be a nice guy or a nice
Or you can
girl
trap
or a
them
nice
and
person.
kill them. That's
yes.
also an
I mean, that's
alternative.
the other thing. Like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
How,
depending on.
Could you walk us through how the permission system works for the erotic role-playing crowd?
For that,
Okay,
yeah, that's
so
another stream, I think.
okay, let's
Oh,
go.
come on,
Let's
we
get
know they're a
into
huge audience.
so when we go into all this level of control that you have over permissions, and it can be a little bit like intimidating almost if you go intimidating. You know what is it now?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I understand.
Anyway,
You're intimidating. I get it. You scare me.
I'm intimidated.
Shoulders down.
So it can be a little bit intimidating because it feels like a lot of work, but there's actually a more streamlined option that you can do as well, and it makes it a bit more easier to set all these permissions.
Yeah, so we have a lot of assets tied to Joel's scenario here that he painted, and you want to
Assets
give.
tied.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to give access to a lot of bases and vehicles used for his scenario, then you can open the profile for a friend, for example, that you want to give access to a lot of assets. And it's a simple list where you can click, okay, I want to give this person access to that base, that base, that base, and these 3 vehicles, and it's done from a distance. So it's very convenient to set up.
Absolutely. Cool. I think this is actually. Oh no, we have actually one last thing. We have a little overview visual that shows where in the world we have our
Our
worlds.
server farms.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
There we go.
So, I mean, this is where we're going to have servers at launch across the world. So people can see. I mean, the one in Australia, it's actually kind of on the East Coast because it's closer to Sydney. And I see that the Australian name is in the wrong place, but that's okay. I don't
It's
expect,
fine.
I don't expect it.
We're only
no one in
talking
the
top
Northern
level.
Hemisphere gives a shit
It's
about my
fine.
country.
We're not
But
talking about the actual locations right now.
But
We're
we
just
will
talking
have
about high level.
We will have servers in all of these countries and locations, so people will
can
have the
choose.
best possible ping. I think the most screwed people are in South Africa, but we also believe that because they don't know where they parked their car because they're South African and they speak Afrikaans, they can connect quickly to South America. It's fine. It's fine. That's usually the best ping for them.
Perfect. Okay, but you'll see, we'll have tons of options for you to choose from to make sure you have a competitive ping at least, especially also for PvP, of course, very important since we have quite a lot of people interested in PvP as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for the actual segments. Joel, thank you so much for your contribution to this stream. We always appreciate it.
It was a pleasure to be here.
I'll
today.
be talking to HR tomorrow, but no,
Again?
it's okay. It's all fine. Again, it's like my 10th complaint. No, also Leo, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
your time
and,
as well.
thank
Actually,
you.
we will see you again shortly,
Yep.
because after a quick break, we actually go into our Q&A. Leo will be back. Joel will unfortunately not be here for the Q&A. We will have you on the stream again.
Yeah,
Don't
and
worry
fine.
about it.
To the
Once he
audience,
calmed a little bit down from his caffeine overdose. I
They-
don't know.
they,
To the audience, I hope you enjoyed the dry humor. That's how we roll on Arrakis. You
The
know?
vibing, the dry humor on
I was
Arrakis.
just super keen to do this live stream today.
Oh dear God. Okay, yeah, let's just go with the video. Beautiful Arrakis.
I loved your highliner, by the way.
Welcome back, everyone. We are still preparing a few things behind the scenes for our Q&A, but I have now Viljar and Leo back to answer your questions. Before we do that, again, for those of you who have joined us a bit later, you might have heard about the fact that we have been moving the release date of Dune Awakening 3 weeks back to the 10th of June with a head start starting on the 5th of June, which is not cause for any concern. It's really just because we want to add some more polish to some of the things in the game, and it gives that opportunity. Additionally, we also will have the opportunity to do a large-scale beta. So many of you will have the chance to actually try out the game for themselves. That won't be under an NDA, so we will be able to show, you'll be able to stream, you'll be able to do videos and all that good stuff. But actually, I have a question for you too. Like, what is your favorite thing in the game to do when you actually play? When you look at it as a player, like turn off your developer brain, is that working? Does that actually work? Can you do that and play the game? And if you do that, what is your favorite thing to do?
So for me, I love the fact that the game is so much more than one thing. It's not just a game about combat. It's like we have all these different elements. You have the way that we harvest both just water and resources, things like that. Then you can mix it up and go do an eco-lab like we just saw. And then I really like how things come together. You might be driving away from a sandworm and then suddenly there's a sandstorm on the way. You drive past an enemy camp and they start shooting at you. Suddenly you run out and you try to take care of them. You get hit by heat stroke, and then it's like, okay, the sandstorm was upon me. I have to find shelter, but I also have to take out these enemies. Like, I like fast games where you have a lot of second-to-second decisions to make, and I think that our game beautifully supports that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, so I actually started a new playthrough last week, playing quite a bit, and what I'm really enjoying now is setting up my base production facilities and the related mining activities that come from that. So, especially the vehicle mining, I'm having a good time with that. Going around in my buggy, going up in the turret, finding mining nodes to get my resources from, and
it can be very relaxing too. Like that's one of the things that you mentioned that to me earlier, actually, when we talked a little bit as well, and I totally agree with that. We have both the combat aspect that is very nerve-wracking, can be like get your pulse up, and then we have the mining who can be actually very zen with like following those lines and things. And I really like that kind of juxtaposition of things as well.
Yeah, we actually spent a lot of time and effort trying to make the harvesting, the cutter rate, to make it work and be, like you said, like sand-like and everything like that. And although there is some progression on the patterns that you harvest from, but it still needs to be sand-like. Because the thing is, hopefully you'll be playing this game for thousands of hours, and having something that is that intense all the time, I just didn't think that would be right for the game.
No, it's exhausting,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have combat if you want that experience, but then if you want to relax a little bit and just chill, you can, as you say, go with your buggy and harvest.
Yeah, so what's going on right now is that I'm looking, okay, what's the next tech that I want to get to, right? Okay, what do I need for that? I need this thing, this thing, this thing. Oh, I have these already, right? I went out to some expeditions earlier. But these two things are new. I wonder where I'm going to get those. So I hop in my buggy and I drive out and I hunt for resources.
Yeah.
And it turns into an adventure.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bit too adventurous. I lost my bike yesterday, but
oh yeah, I know that
it.
feeling. I think everyone goes through that at least once. So like it's just kind of part of the experience, the Dune Awakening experience.
I got my lesson.
But I think we're actually ready for the questions. Another thing I just wanted to mention before we go into questions is like what I really love is the weird things that can happen. Like we saw that, like actually you posted that, I think, where you were driving through the desert. You were looking for the worm and there was like a crash, like one of the dynamic ships that can crash and like crash down onto the surface, crashed like literally like 2 meters next to you. And you had no idea that was coming down. That was just like it's moments like this that I find incredibly engaging and fun. Like these type of things that can happen. Anyway, so we are ready for some questions. We have the first question from Orange Shire. Can the player select which siege they got to connect to as their home dimension, or it's randomly assigned?
Yeah, so you get to choose your worlds, and in that world there are many servers, which are the sieges, and you can pick the siege that you actually want to connect to. So you don't have to do it in any order, and you don't, and it's not randomly assigned.
Right, and you can talk to your friends again, like to make sure they're on the same siege for that,
Yeah,
or
it's a good
at least
idea.
in the same world as well, because then
Yeah.
you can still visit and all that.
Yeah, you want to align on that before you start, so you pick the
For
right
sure.
one.
Yes, for sure, absolutely. I'm gonna butcher these usernames again. I apologize beforehand if I do. CF Olsen. If you already align to one house, can you later change it to align with the same house as the guild is? So basically, if you can change, right? If your guild is another alignment.
Yeah, you can. You can betray your house.
But only once.
Once. They won't take that lightly, so you better think about this really carefully. Like, go align you first, and
Yeah,
if
it's
you
frowned
betray.
upon.
Yep, they don't like that very much. P-Dragon76 asks, can you progress far without PvP, or is this game mainly going to be around PvP?
So you can play in the survival area, the survival game map that we have, which is 8 by 8 kilometers, and you don't have to PvP at all in that. Now going to the deep desert, you don't have to PvP. It's just that you run the risk of PvP. And as what I talked about earlier is that we have all these tools where you can quickly get away. So the goal was that people who don't want to PvP may still go there for the loot, but be on the lookout for enemies coming, and then just drive away really fast, or you using your ornithopter as you would to get away, or if you get jumped, use your abilities to get away. So we didn't want to have people be ganked very early on, and we thought that, well, at this point you played the game for 100 hours, so you probably know your way around the disruptor, right? So when you get there, people who will PvP you, but they will actually meet people who know how to play the game. So that was the goal. Now, not everyone is going to love that, but like PvP, but you can then run away. As I said, you don't have to engage with them to get the things.
It's almost as if you decide to opt into PvP, you actually put yourself under higher risk than someone that says, I'm only going to play PvE in the game. And also, we haven't actually talked about the end game and the launch route system, which does have PvP, but you can actually also influence that with PvE as well. So it's not all PvP at all. So there's a lot of options for PvE players as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can play the game for hundreds, thousands of hours without engaging in PvP easily.
Oh my God! Now I'm outing myself as an old woman. Unpaid Taxi, is that the name? That is the name. That's fantastic. Love it. Unpaid Taxi asks, is the slow blade automatic?
So we have two main attacks for the blade, like the basic ones, if you don't have any skills or abilities associated with it. So we have the quick attack, and then we call it the stab, even though it's with swords and everything you can do the slow blade there. So you can do the quick attack, which is effective to stagger enemies, so you get time to actually deliver the slow blade. Now, if you use the slow blade on an unshielded enemy, you will have a quick in, and then, no, I'm going to lose the thread here. It works differently. So basically the slow blade is automatic in the sense that it will trigger if you do a stab, so to speak. I guess
basically
that's
it's a special. You do it as a special attack, so it's a special. Like you hold your mouse button basically longer. You just click it, so it is a special trigger, and then the animation will play itself out. But it doesn't automatically happen. You have to trigger it actively.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you look for opportunity, right? And there, I can get the timing in right. Okay, now I hold, and now I get the slow blade.
Yeah, and also it takes quite a long time to actually execute a slow blade because it's called slow blade. So you have to make sure your enemy is either staggered or they do something that they don't immediately can retaliate, right? So I think that's also.
I think I can explain what I tried to say earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you go against an unshielded enemy, you will hold for a bit, so it will be akin to a heavy attack, and then you'll do it fast. Whereas with the slow blade, you go fast in, and then the slow is on the when you actually connect through the shield. So that's how
So
that works.
yes, actually that's correct, because you have the heavy attack plus the slow blade, and those happen differently, like if you're up against a shielded enemy or not a shielded enemy. That's kind of what you meant.
The procedure to trigger it is the same. It's just that it's contextual whether someone has a shield or not.
Yeah. I really need glasses, I think, or better. Sorvina Savage, I think?
Yeah, that's right.
Sorvina Savage. I also, like, to my defense, I'm actually also sitting further away than Leo, for example. Has like a really nice angle to the questions. But
I'm cheating a bit over here.
do you lose durability on melee weapons? Do you lose more durability on melee weapons than range to offset ammunition use of ranged weapons? That's a good question. Like,
That's
a very
extremely detailed. I don't have the answer for that. And as we balance things, that might go up and down. I don't have the exact numbers.
the
for that.
numbers.
I don't think it's a major concern, at least the difference, right? In
No.
practical
Ammo
gameplay.
is fairly cheap, so you will loot some of
true.
it, and the rest you will just pull out your cut array, harvest a couple of scrap metal piles, and then you have plenty so that you can quickly craft them on your person. So it's pretty trivial.
It's not actually a resource that's very important compared to like stamina, ability cooldowns, and other things, right?
Yeah.
In the context of things. Black Lion Apps is asking, can I swap active skills during combat?
So you can swap your skills. However, if they're on a cooldown, you'll not be allowed to swap them.
Okay. Tyler, that's easy for once. Tyler's asking, can you learn all skills available in the game? So Master Trooper, so on.
You cannot actually. You can go pretty far down in several of them, or you can go to the end of a few of them, but you won't be able to get all the skills from all the trees.
Yeah, we actually had that at one point, that we were able to get everything, but then we made it much more interesting also with the I call them cornerstones, but the capstones,
yeah.
capstone skills. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you actually will have to make decisions in terms of where
Yeah,
do you spend your
exactly.
points. I personally really like that. I think it's more interesting as well. That's Serena Savage again. Will NPCs pick targets based on threats, closest player, or use tactics?
Again, that's also quite specific. I wish Alex was here. So they're like, with these things, there's always a combination, and you weight things. So it's like, well, someone might have a higher threat at a longer distance. Who do you deal with? So we have weighted this, so it's like it should feel natural, the way that it works. But again, I don't have the exact numbers for how that's balanced.
The thing is, I actually asked Alex that question, I think, yesterday during one of our chats as well. And he said what you just said too, though. Like, the NPCs are actually taking several aspects into consideration. How far is that player away? How much damage? How big of a threat is that character? Like, what kind of abilities did they use previously and all that? So there's quite of a complex mechanic behind how NPCs will react to you.
They
and
do
how
have
use it.
tactics, so they change how they play depending on if there's one of them, obviously, and if there's more of them, and depending on difficulty, we'll scale it so that the second NPC might not be as aggressive in the early game as they would be in the later game, for instance.
Armored Scooter. Armored Scooter is asking, will soda cars be killable, or are they meant to be the ultimate enemy?
So we have the Sardaukar dropships, but Chom mercenaries drop from them. So you will kill them, but they are not proper Sardaukar.
You're just not important enough early on, specifically,
exactly.
that they would deal with you.
Yeah.
They're just sent there.
If you kill Sardaukar, that would be part of. It's not the normal approach.
Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, exactly. You won't.
Maybe you'll have to find out.
They're not part of the normal NPC roster, so to speak.
Mac Wolverson asks, are there any Hunter Seekers in the game to use?
Indeed, they are the last ability in one of the trees.
Yes,
I could tell you which tree, but I'm not going to.
No, we don't do that. But we've actually shown the Hunter Seeker in a few gameplay or in like early videos.
Yeah.
We haven't shown the Hunter Seeker today in the combat sections. Actually, we used other abilities. but
Yeah.
it's absolutely
We used its sibling, the Assault Seeker.
Yes, exactly. The one you saw, the ability that
Yeah.
Alex in his solo gameplay was like throwing.
But yes, we do have the Hunter Seeker.
Wonder Drakias is asking, can you extract blood from enemies like they do in the movies?
Yes, you can indeed. It's you will be doing that a lot as you build your base, and you refine blood to actually use as water for things that you craft and also for hydration.
You kind of start with a rusty needle and the bag at the beginning, and then you kind of
all the way.
as you learn more secrets to the desert, you might
exactly.
also learn a few more.
You can even drink
improved.
blood.
Yes.
It will hydrate you, but there are some side effects.
Yeah, it's not super advised, but you can go on. You can also, what I personally hate, you can also use Muad'Dibs and drink a little bit.
This
of
is
blood.
true. You
Tiny bit.
can can harvest the Muad'Dibs as
Still
well.
hate
You
it.
do what
Not
you have to
okay.
do.
Not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. Just putting it out there right now. Slucker, can you attack players of your same faction?
Yes, you can. So what I think I mentioned earlier is that in a group you won't do damage much to your friends in your group, but the people in your guild who may be attached to a faction, you can damage them when you're in a PvP area.
All right, that was it for today. Viljar, Leo, again, thank you so much for your time and for sitting down with us to chat about Dune Awakening. Super exciting. Thanks for answering questions. Thanks for talking about your segments as well. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for putting up with our little hiccups here and there. We'll improve over time. That was our second stream. We'll have more coming up. Also, of course, more opportunities for you to ask questions. You can still pre-order the game. You can wishlist the game on Steam. Follow us on our social channels, Dune Awakening, for all of them. And as always, stay hydrated. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.